Hi guys, welcome to Extra Talk. It's a special one actually. It wasn't planned, but after yesterday, transfer window, Super Saturday, so much news for Ajax in general. I woke up this morning, guys. I thought to myself, like, okay, wait, I needed to check my tweets again, check whether everything was really happening yesterday. But it happened, guys. There's so much to talk about, basically. Let's have just a discussion. I want your feeling, your thoughts about what happened yesterday in terms of the signings coming in, but also knowing now what the price is, what the amount is that Lisandro Martinez is leaving to Manchester United. So in general, not to pick one player now, but in general, your thoughts. Papimento, welcome. Good to have you back.
Yeah, man. Happy to be back.
Thanks, bro. What about your thoughts yesterday? You know, in general, when seeing all these news, all these signings being mentioned, and it's gonna happen as well.
Well, I was shocked that it went so fast. Like we heard the name Bassey like last week, and immediately we're signing him. And yeah, I was kind of excited when I went to see the comps and everything, and you know, conceição for 5 million. It's nothing, you know. Like it could be a world class talent, as João discussed with us yesterday on Space. Yeah, pretty exciting time. You know, Martinez leaving left a hole, but now I'm getting excited with these new changes, and it's giving a good outlook for this season. Yeah, so kind of happy out of the funk of Martinez leaving us now. Yeah.
Yeah, Eyejax, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I agree with Poppy. I'm happy with all the signings coming in, and I'm especially happy that they are signing them early on, because we've had in the past a lot of times that there are panic buys at the end, or that there's some havoc within the team, that there's nothing clear yet what will come in and if we will be able to sign anybody before the transfer window ends. And now we already have the majority of the players in. And this is important so they can be in the preseason, that they can train together, and that they can build that the team feeling, you know. So I'm very happy with that. We can discuss if we pay too much for some players, but in the end, they are there, and I think they are all exciting new players. So I'm very curious to see them play one.
Yeah, good point. We're going to the Austria training camp. So the idea is to have these signings, you know, conceição, Bassey, even Brobbey. We didn't discuss Brobbey, but we will touch upon that in a minute as well. So all these names coming up, all these signings, eventually we want to present them as soon as possible. They're going through some medical checks. So let's see how long it takes, and also for the paperwork to be drawn up. Yadorenko, thank you for making it last minute. Your thoughts. I know you're not a big fan of buys, only if it's necessary. So are you as hyped, excited as the other two, or is there a footnote?
There's always a footnote with me. No, seriously, I think it's okay, because I don't agree with all the targets. I don't agree with all the pricings. But in the end, you have to act instead of not acting. So it's good to have the team kind of complete, maybe even complete. When you go to Austria, preparing for the season start. Yeah, I'm a big promoter on using the youth academy. But hey, in the end, if there's enough depth in the team and enough quality in the team, you can maybe not easily, but you can bring in the championship, which is the most important thing, I think, for a longer term, to keep that Champions League qualification in the bag.
All right. Which signing, Yadorenko, just sticking with you on this one, which signing does impress you the most, or are you most excited about?
I think that would be conceição, and that's since the pricing, I think, is right. The talent could go either way, but I think it's in line with the idea of Ajax. So I'm most excited about that transfer.
And which one are you least excited about?
Bergwijn.
All right. But looking at the profile, right? I mean, you weren't there when we discussed Bergwijn earlier, but as a profile player, don't you think we need a player like Bergwijn in the squad?
I don't know. If you have Tadic on the left, if you have Van Axel Dongen, who seems to be prone to injuries, but if he's not, then I don't know if you need a Bergwijn behind it. You also have Darami for the left side. And in the center, you now have Brobby, which I think should be always the number one starter striker in the coming season. So I don't know if you really need a Bergwijn, because basically what you're doing is you're benching at least Darami, which is 12 million, which happens sometimes. But yeah, I don't know if you need him. On the other side, it's good to have to be able to mix up the team during the first half of the season, because it's going to be very busy and it's going to be exhausting physically and mentally. So I think it's good to have some depth, and in the attack there's a lot of depth. But if you look at the defense, there's not too much depth. So they might need some work on that.
There is depth, but there is depth though, Jadrenko, in the defense. But the drop in level is so huge. If you look at Timber and Schuurs, yeah, that's the big difference. But there is depth.
Yeah, man. There's so much depth. We have Magallan and stuff, you know. Like,
exactly.
The depth is awesome.
That's the difference between you and me. You count Piri and Magallan. I don't.
But you still have to sell them before you make room for others, right? So we are on a budget. It's not like we can just buy anything.
Yeah. Let's rephrase it. There's not enough quality and depth.
Do you think touching upon that, do you guys think moving away now from the signings, if we look at the signings, most of the signings were all attacking signings yesterday, or all of them actually?
No, except for Bassey.
Except for Bassey, exactly. Do you think on top of Bassey, do we need extra defensive injection of quality? Do we need to sign someone else? What's your opinion on that, Eyejax?
I think we do, man. To be honest, I'm not comfortable with the right back position this season. We have to see how Rens performs, and I think he deserves a chance. But we also have Kleiber as a backup. I'm not saying that Kleiber cannot play maybe like consistent as 6 for us, but he will not be a superstar in my opinion, you know. And I've never understood why we signed him for 6 million, I believe, from Utrecht back then, because I don't think it's a typical Ajax player, you know. So in an ideal world, I would love to see another right back that is talented and that can fight it out with Rens. And to be quite honest, I would love to see another central defender also, besides Bassey, because if I think about the backup we have, yeah, you have Blind and you have Schuurs that can both play. Like if you think that Bassey will be the left central defender and Timber will be the right, which is logical, right? Because you're not paying 25 million for somebody, then not play him. So you have Blind and you have Schuurs as a backup, but I'm not the biggest fan of both in that position, to be honest. I'd rather see a Blind, if he plays on the left back position, fight it out with Wijndal. I'm not a big fan of him playing centrally. So for the future also, I think another central defender might not be a luxury to get one more in.
On the left side, Bill.
Yeah, or like a multifunctional one.
All right. But Mental, what's your take on this? And you weren't, you missed out on the last talk we had in which we discussed, I think, the back line a little bit, and we also looked at the possible candidates, and Bassey was one of them. What's your opinion on this signing, and what do you think of the backline discussion we're having right now?
I saw some comps from Bassey, man, and I'm getting excited though. Unbelievable power. I kind of like when you see him on the left side, the power and drive looks kind of like Dumfries. kind of the same way, but he's more technical, I think. I'm just worried. Like, I haven't seen him play central defense. I think you would negate like his whole drive and power going up front, but he is a wonderful defender, man. Like, very strong. He could be an asset next to Timber, I think. Just don't know what we do with Blind if he's gonna play that position. And I just want to say, like, for the right back position, as Eyejax said, I didn't write off Wrench yet, so I think he could do well. But yeah, in Kleiber, I don't trust it. After such a long injury, and before the injury, he was just okay. So after an injury, he's gonna be like a youth player. So yeah, I mean, for me, just get a backup. I don't think they're done yet. I think they're waiting for the preseason friendlies and stuff to make that decision. But I think, Wrench played in the previous friendly with Berghuis in front of him. And I thought he did well, but I want to see him with Anthony, that combo, see if that works better. And I hope we go for a super talented, as I said yesterday, also a super talented target man that needs a year to develop at young Ajax. But it is a position that, Brobbey is somebody that goes deep. Tadic is more of a false nine that comes into the ball. I would like somebody that in the box can finish those crosses and high balls. And
like an Haller type? Like an Haller type?
No, a technical type, but long.
Okay. So
and a good header, yeah.
Yeah.
But would it be somebody who has to play most of his matches first at young Ajax?
It's looking at the future and looking at this season. And after this season, we know Anthony is going to leave. We don't know what's going to happen with Brobbey. I mean, if he has a wonderful season, he might be bought again. So it's always good to have the third. And we sold Danilo to Feyenoord. So we need the third.
One moment. So we're signing Brobbey back and we're paying 17 million. He left us on a free. And we're signing him for 5 years. And you think he will leave us in 1 year?
Look what Haller did, man. one year of Champions League. That was amazing. And he left. I've seen crazier things at the Ajax happen. So it could happen, man. But Anthony, I'm sure of. Brobbey, I'm not sure of. But Timber, for instance, is leaving for sure next year. So there, you can already build for the season after. But we do need a third striker. That's what Schreuder said. And you might go for a big talent that is a target man that we can use further down the line.
But I think with what Schreuder wants, now that we have Brobbey, and you could play Tadic up front eventually. But also, I think he's looking for an older type of striker that can be that target man they're talking about. I don't think they're looking into the younger, like age. I think they're looking at the older age that is comfortable being a second striker to come in and break the match open, whether it's necessary, yes or no. That's what I think. And Ajax has been known to doing that in the past as well with a couple of players.
Yeah, like Ursay is such a great player back there.
For instance, yeah, exactly. Anyway, Sonago is a bit different, but yeah. Rico, you wanted to react? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ajax needs a striker behind Brobbey, especially for the future. So I would do two things. One, I would get someone like Suarez. And Suarez is, for me, a target because he will do good at Ajax. He will fit. He is on a free transfer, so you have to pay him some good salary. But I think he can help the team when Brobbey is out or something like that.
Well,
and I would send scouts to Brazil to watch Hendrik, and I would try to get him at Ajax maybe next season, and that's just for the future because I think you need to do something. If you look at the youth, there's not really much ready in the striker position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I wouldn't go for Suarez though.
Yeah, with Suarez, I was thinking about it too. But do you guys think he would be okay with playing second fiddle?
Exactly.
Because I do not think when he comes he will take the bench and just occasionally make his minutes. So he's too great of a player still at this age, especially in the Eredivisie and maybe also still in the Champions League, to play second fiddle. I cannot see that happening, to be honest. I would love him at the club because I'm a big fan of Suarez. But I cannot see it happening, although I love the player.
True. I think there are pros and cons on Suarez. I agree on that. But I think you need an experienced player that can fill in the Champions League when you do have a gap. So it doesn't have to be necessarily Suarez for me. But look around and try to be smart with that. And I would prepare for the next seasons.
Yeah. Suarez is a great player. To be honest, he's not the youngest anymore, so I don't know what his level is at the moment. But I would rather go for a different profile, kind of Giroud-like, that gives you that extra threat in the air. But that's me. And young, of course. But
yeah. So guys, coming back to the news yesterday, right? All these signings, all these names coming up. Which one excited you the most in general, and why is that? Let me go with Popimento on this one.
Bassey, man. Because we lost Martinez. I was really worried that we lost too much Grinta because I feel like Taifico is also leaving. He's not a certain left central back. I'm not sure he will be played there yet. But his power, his one-on-one, he's a beast. It's tall, it's fast, has a drive. I can get excited by that. And, he brings the extra grinta with him. So our level is going back up.
You think Pavimento is a direct reinforcement? Do you think he will play from the bat going into the season?
If you compare him to Blind one-on-one as a defender, yeah, for sure. I just don't know how far he is with his technical ability and his passing, because that's a huge part of the Ajax game. And if he's not comfortable with that, and it's mostly side passes, as yesterday Brian, said it on Space. But he said also that he's press resistant and doesn't get worried when he's pressed. So yeah, that's something to get excited by. And just looking at his posture, man, he's like huge, like just muscle, man. It's fun. It's fun to have such a player.
So for our viewers, right, because you're mentioning the Twitter space now for the second time, let me give a little bit of background. Yesterday we went into the Twitter space. We invited a Porto fan, Joao, and we invited also a Glasgow Rangers fan, Brian, which you mentioned, Popimento. They give a little bit of insight into the players and how they're looking at them, and the fact that they're leaving to Ajax. We are trying behind the scenes to get them on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll have them in a couple of weeks and we'll publish that as well, going a little bit deeper into the players and what they have to say about them leaving their clubs. So, all right. Going to Ajax. Ajax, are you the same with Popimento? Are you more excited about Bassey, or do you have another opinion about this?
I'm excited about all three. It's so difficult because Conceição is a steal with a lot of potential. I saw compilations of him and I thought, wow, this guy can really bring something into the future, So very excited about that because it's a bargain. Bassey, I saw the compilations also because to be honest, didn't watch him much live last season. But the things that Popimento said, they excited me also. But also Robbie back at the club, man. Finally, I love the guy. I think he can be of a great quality for us. You just have to stay fit and play those 90 minutes, and not be injury prone. This is the biggest worry I have. But if I have to pick one, let's go for. It's almost the same, but let's go for Conceição because he's young and he's a steal, and I didn't expect it to happen, to be honest. Getting him in.
Yeah. Look, sometimes I remember what people say on the channel, right? And unlucky for you, Yadarenko, I remember what you said last time on the channel when we spoke about Broby. And you said, not to pick on you, right? I mean, I just want to touch upon this. You said, I don't want Ajax to create a precedent in terms of Broby. Yes, he's a good player. Yes, we were hoping him to become the Ajax striker. He has a potential. He has the quality, etc. but he made a choice. He left. Now we're going to buy him back. We're hurting ourselves financially, etc., etc. Do you have the same arguments about this, or did you, in a couple of months that passed by, did you become more relaxed about it? Did you become like, okay, you know what? Looking at Ajax and what we need, etc., what profile, what he brings to the team. Okay, it's not ideal, but I can live with it. What's your opinion?
Sure, I can live with it because as I said earlier, I think he fits Ajax. I think he will perform within this Ajax, so there's no problem on that. But it's a bit like the Bergwijn deal. It's never ever going to be a good deal. It's basically an example on how not to deal and how not to try to deal with players and clubs. But hey, shit happens. He went his way, and Ajax decided to get him on a loan. Yeah, and then you see that he does fit, and then you want him, and then you have to pay, basically. And I'm glad that it's over, that we can move on. And I think he can deliver both on the fields as well as financially in the future. But you missed out a season and you spent, let's say, 17, 18, 20 million euros on salary, on loan, on the transfer that he's getting. And it's basically all his choice. So it's not the most beautiful deal I could have imagined, but he's here, and I think he's a better striker as Haller is. And that's basically it.
All right. Go ahead, Eyejax. Go ahead.
Can I react?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
I thought you were.
No. I was like sneaking,
sorry,
like
bro.
taking my turn, you know.
Yeah, sure, go.
So no, but I understand where Jai is coming from. You know, I understand his philosophy, and I understand that with what we are known for and the base of our club, you know, it's a little bit odd one out, the Bergwijn transfer. And also with Brobbey spending a lot of millions on him, I can understand Jai thinking this, but it doesn't mean they cannot be successful transfers, because there are multiple options how you can lead the club. You do not need to do it every time, but you can still make money on them. They can still be of a great value for the club because they're still both young. And I can think of multiple options that they will even net us a bag of money in the future. So like giving them the stem now, like it's a bad, you know, it's a bad transfer. It will not a bad transfer. It will not make us. It will never become a good transfer. It will not make us profit. I can see it happening. And you have to take that into consideration also. And we do have to be careful that we will not lose our identity fully, so that we will keep doing those transfers on and on and on again without not relying too much anymore on our youth academy. So I think we also have to keep that into consideration. And with this part, I agree with Jaidorenko, but with it being never becoming a great transfer, both, I disagree. And also with the Brobbey thing, you know, we spent money on him last year. We spent salary on him last year. We are going to good argument. I will take this into consideration. we will, you know, he net us a lot of points. You know, he gave us a few important goals last season, and you know how narrow the margin was at the end compared to PSV. It was only 2 points. So you can take also another consideration into account. You know, maybe his contribution last year was more than worth the money we spent on him on loan, because he contributed with important goals. So it's delicate, you know.
I'm not saying it's not a good and never can be a good transfer. It can never be a good deal, in my opinion, because you spent way much more as you should have. So the deal itself can never be the way you want it, in my opinion.
What if Bergwijn, for example, and I agree it's a lot of money. What if he brings us a lot of important goals, a lot of success within the team? We progress far in the Champions League, so we net a lot of money because we have high quality within the team. Same goes for Brobbey. What if after 2 seasons we sell him for 50 million? Then it's still a good deal, right?
Sure, but the plot remains. You start with 18 million bidding, and you end up with almost 32 million. That's never going to be okay in my book, to be honest.
But wait,
doesn't really matter what happens after that. That deal is not the way you want it, in my opinion.
I think we have to take into consideration. I think Jadrenko, the missing link also in your argument is he is a youth player, our youth player. That's the point, right? If it was another player, it was different, right?
No.
Are we talking about Bergwijn or Brobbey?
No, Brobbey.
He was talking about Bergwijn.
We were talking about
Bergwijn.
Yeah, he was talking about 30 million.
No. He was talking about Bergwijn, the last argument he made.
Oh, the last argument. But before that, we were talking about Brobbey, right?
Yeah, also.
So you're saying it's not a good deal. That I understand. But also looking at the fact that he was a youth player, right? You're taking that in your argument, or not?
No. May I interject and add something to this?
But why not? Because I think wait, just a minute. If it was another player, if it was Brobbey, but it was not somebody from the youth academy, yes, and we know how good he can be, we know his profile, etc. Still, you would think it's not a good deal? Jadrenko?
No, then it with Brobbey, then it would be different.
Exactly. All right.
Okay, sure.
That's clear. Okay, Pimento, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Jadrenko is saying. Look, I don't think Brobbey coming back or Bergwijn as a transfer is bad, because we switched basically Haller for Bergwijn. So I think we improved a lot on that quality. If you look at the prices, yes, it's high. But also, if we want to compete, we have to pay these prices sometimes. The only thing I agree with Jadrenko is the Ajax tactic of how they went about to get these transfers. I mean, they didn't play a game in the transfer market. It was, no, we want Bergwijn. No, we want Brobbey. And then keep at it. But where is the power? The power is fully with the other side, because they know you only want this target and there's no other. It's just a blind side. No, focused on this target. And that gives the other side so much power in the transfer negotiations that, for me, that is something you could discuss with Ajax. Like, okay, that's not good. You know, you made it hard for yourself. But if you look at Brobbey, 17 million, it was first discussed 25 million, now 17. So I'm happy. And Brobbey, if everything goes well, easily 40 million later on. Bergwijn, he's 24, still in his prime. He can give us a lot, even if we, 2 seasons of reaching quarterfinal Champions League or just going through the group phase, and then selling him for another 30 would be also a good deal. So just you have to hope that nothing bad happens. With
one moment. Pimento, finish what you said at the end. What did you say?
We just have to hope that nothing bad happens with these players. I mean, we just say, oh, they're gonna eventually give us money, but a lot of things can happen during a season in which that cannot happen. So there's always a risk with these transfers.
Yeah. Jadrenko, you first, then Eyejax can take it also. You wanted to react.
Yeah, I'm not disputing what Pimento is saying, because that's 95% of my argument. It's not about purely the number. It is, but not purely. But it's mostly about how they went about doing both the transfer. One bidding 18 million, ending up on almost 32. The other giving away all the leverage you could have, and then signing him. I think both don't have a beauty, gonna win a beauty pageant on the deal. But whatever. They're with Ajax now, and I think both can add something to the team. So let's see what happens.
So they are not going to get a ribbon for the deal,
No.
Okay,
no.
That's out of the equation. No, well, but I have to.
Maybe if they were a swimsuit, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, we can try to do that. But I have to give my 2 cents about these deals. I do think that we have to take into consideration, especially with Bergwijn, that the market is also part of the problem. Like in the beginning, when Overmars was negotiating about Bergwijn, it was a different situation. At the end, Manchester United, and I believe it was it Everton? Help me here. There were two teams in the Premier League that wanted Bergwijn also, and they were offering 40 million euros. So it was that Bergwijn wanted to go to Ajax, and he already agreed for 5 weeks on personal terms, and he just wanted only to go to Ajax. Actually, it's quite a nice deal if you think about it that way. You know, you're not going to steal him for 80 million if two Premier League clubs are offering 40 million. So if you end up at 32.5 million, while there are offers on the table for 40, you can also see from that side, it isn't that bad of a deal because it is 7.5 million lower than the other offers are on the table. So this is something that you have to take into consideration also. And one last thing, Juan, sorry, before I forget, to also stick up for H2, for Huntelaar and Hamstra a bit, all the deals that they signed them for 5 years.
Exactly.
And I think that is great business by them, because we have in the past so many times that players will end up in their last year or will end up with 2 years left, and it will be a headache for us in negotiation, or they do not want to re-sign the contracts. These are all pretty young players, you know, and they have a lot of miles ahead of them in their career, and they signed them for 5 years. I think that's great business. And to take into consideration, if you sell Gravenberch, Haller, and Martinez all for a lot of money, together over way over 100 million.
No, it's not way over. I mean, if you exclude the add-ons, it's over 100.
It's 35 for Haller, it's 25 almost, I think, for Gravenberch, that's 60. And if you take out the add-ons from Martinez, it's still 140 million euros.
No, but no. Because also with Gravenberch, the deal is actually 18 million. You're
18 plus, what is it for Haller? 35?
31, I think.
31. So that's 49. 54 for Martinez. That's all already 103 million without all the add-ons of all the deals.
That's what I'm saying. Excluding the add-ons, is just over 100. Yeah. And if you look at what we're also excluding add-ons, if you look at what we're spending, let's say it's just over 80. So we have like a 20 million surplus. But
so you have to take that into consideration also. And this is also the work of H2, you know. So you have to take all things into consideration. And if you sell only 3 players for money, you get 5 talented players back for that money, and you still have a profit over 20 million without the add-ons taken into consideration. It's quite a good deal, if you ask me.
I just wanted to add on what you said about Bergwijn saying that he wanted to go to Ajax. The same applies to Brobbey as well.
Yeah.
Because United wanted Brobbey, but he told Erik ten Hag he wants to go to Ajax. Because let's face it, if Brobbey was open to also going to United, we cannot fight United on the transfer market in terms of having the bidding war. So that's also the same applies for both of them. That's one. The second thing I would like to say, and you already made a couple of good points, Eyejax. I just wanted to add that for me, not only the 5-year deal was very good, but what Papimento said, I wanted to argue a little bit against, because you can look at it both ways, right? You can look at, yes, it works like that. If everybody knows in the market that you want that player, that's your number one, and the club knows this as well, they're going to play hardball. We've experienced that with Bergwijn for several windows already. But at the same time, it's also remarkable that we pulled through and we did get the number ones on our list, because how many times in the past were we going for a number one and we end up with number 3, number 4 on the list?
And to add to this one, if you take into consideration that you get Conceição and Bassey that we didn't hear much about, last week's. We heard a rumor about Conceição a little while back, but I didn't hear about Bassey at all. So they were able to keep it under the radar for such a long time and actually close the deal quite quickly. Because I didn't hear about Bassey like 2-3 days ago for the first time, and they already are able now to close the deal. So those two targets in Bergwijn and Brobbey, I can understand the opinions about that, but in as a counterpart, the Bassey and the Conceição deal, it's quite nice that they kept it under the radar for so long and that they closed the deal so quickly. So there's balance in that also.
Were we being negative towards H2? Because I also want to give appreciation, because I'm not negative at all. I think they did well with Wijndal, 10 million. Now with the conceição, just 5 million. Bassey for 20 looks like a solid deal. So appreciation for Huntelaar and Hamstra is there. I'm just saying the strategies for Brobbey and Berghuis were wrong. And Bergwijn, sorry. Are wrong. That's going to be a tough one, by the way, this whole season. Just wait for it.
Wijndal,
but look, I'm just going to say this for Bergwijn, Mountain Wine. He 30 million. Would you get for 30 million a player of his caliber for that amount? And I'm saying no. So that's why I don't mind that deal at all.
Maybe not from the get-go. Maybe not from the
get-go, I think. Not that quality, 24 age, has experience, and shown himself in the Eredivisie already, Jadirenko.
What quality?
Oh, man. You see him in the national team, right?
But be honest. Within the Premier League, within European, he did not outperform yet. He is still a bench player at Tottenham, or was. So he does have qualities, but he never proved it on the highest level, which is fine. Maybe he will prove it. I don't know, but
32 million for never. They never proved it.
But it's
32 million is a lot of money.
It's a non-argument, in my opinion, Jadirenko, because I heard Sagbi say this also in previous videos that I was in with him. If what you guys are stating, it's a non-argument, because let me explain this. If he would have performed at the highest level, if he would have gotten more minutes at Spurs and he would banked in a few goals each time, he would have never, ever been able to go to Ajax. True. Because it will be out of our reach. So you cannot tell me 32 million is a good amount of money, but only if he performed very well at that stage. He wouldn't have been a realistic target if that would have been happening. So we know from the past that he, in the Eredivisie, showed his quality. He showed in recent stages in the national team that he has that quality also. And even in the scarce minutes that he got at Tottenham, he even performed a little bit when he got in as a substitute player. So taking into consideration that he had a lot of injuries there also, it would not have been a realistic target if he would have played more and showed more quality, in my opinion at least. Maybe you guys...
Exactly, and to be honest, playing at Spurs is not the benchmark, right? Look how defensive they play. It's not totally our style.
But hold on.
Play a full different role here at Ajax than what he does at Spurs.
Wait,
but if
you
look at
something, Jadirenko, before you go, just both ways, because I understand what you're talking about. Jadirenko is more talking about look at this quality and look at the price, but price is subjective, is relative, because if you look at it from the Premier League perspective, we're getting somebody from the Premier League. For them, 30 million is not a lot of money. But for us, we broke the record already. And that's what maybe Jadirenko is pointing out to. Is he worth being our record-breaking signing? Is that what you're talking about, Jadirenko? Is that what you mean?
Part of it. But also a lot of fans say he has the quality that Ajax needs. We haven't seen that. We don't know. We actually don't know. So
no.
I think
Jadirenko. He still has to prove himself. But we all saw the quality, and he's been important with Spurs. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go.
Go ahead.
Just like Eyejax said, if he did prove himself in the Champions League, he might be out of our league. Might be. So that's a valid argument. But spending 32 million on one player is just a lot of money. And if I look where his qualities lie, it's not prone with the Ajax philosophy, in my opinion. He's very good when there's room behind the defense. Whilst if you look at how Ajax tried to play, is to push back the defense of the opponent. So then you get a different style of play. And I'm not saying he could not deliver on that. I don't know. We have to see. But if you look at his specific qualities, like speed, like getting into the depth of the pitch, then I don't know if it's the perfect fit for Ajax.
Yeah.
And I know he has been an Ajax player in the past.
Yeah, I think honestly, my opinion is I think he's again. I said it a couple of times. I think he's a missing piece of the puzzle in the Ajax squad, and you could argue should the missing piece be 30 million, 31.25 million to be exact. But I think he brings things that we don't have, and we saw that with Anthony last season when he got injured. We were missing a player like that has depth in this game, that also can go one-on-one. We forget that Bergwijn is somebody that can outbeat an opponent one-on-one. We don't have many of those players. Tadic is not the same Tadic as before. Tadic is just intelligent player, smart player, but he cannot outrun another player, another opponent one-on-one. Haller, we know, he left. Okay, that's fine. Brobbey can do that, by the way. He can do a lot of things. So I think he adds so much power to our front line, and versatility to our front line, that for me, it's worth it. And just coming back to what you said about quality, for me, he showed it at the national team, but you can argue the national team plays differently than what Ajax plays. I agree with that. But also, Spurs plays differently with Conte. But even before that, let's not forget who's up front at the Spurs lineup, right? We're talking about guys who've been scoring every season 20 goals or more. Son was Golden Boot, I think, or top scorer in the Premier League last season. And as they say in Dutch, and I know you guys like this a lot, and I usually don't like to translate sayings.
Let me get ready for this one.
They're not cookie bakers. That's the only thing I wanted to say. No, but seriously, I think in general, I understand what you're saying, Yadirenko. It's a lot of money. I do agree. And honestly, I have that feeling a little bit about Bassey, to be honest. I think Bassey's a lot of money, to be very honest. Again, I think he has incredible potential. I saw also a couple of comps, but I also yesterday on the Twitter space, hearing the fans what his strength is and what his developments still are. I'm still wondering, he's more a prolific left back. So, but we bought Wangdal. Blind is somebody, and we talked about it before, and we will talk about it many times going forward. Blind will start. There's no way Blind is going to be a bench player. So, yeah, I know you don't agree, but I don't see it happening. He's an experienced player. He's been playing everywhere. Even Ten Hag preferred him on the left back position. I don't think Schreuder's going to deviate from that. So the question is, will Bassey be a direct player that plays in the team? And yeah, if not, then it's a development player, but we're paying a lot of money for him. I think Bassey has an incredible future, 5-year contract, young player. But if I look at the price we're paying for a defender in general, I think I have more problems with Bassey than I have with Bergwijn. But again, that's my opinion. A lot of people want to react on what I said. Usually I don't give my opinion, but who wants to go first?
If I may.
Go.
Yeah, I'll go after.
Please.
Don't start about the cookie bakers, though.
So, Juan, let's not get into the discussion where Blind should play or Tadic should play. Because if we have to talk about this, there are so many quality players at our current squad now with the transfers coming in. I am just blowing up my mind if I think about which players I should put where if I was the coach. Because there are too many. You always, somewhere you will drop a player that you think, but he's quality first 11 player also. True. So difficult. But to get back to what Jijderenko said about the type of player, for example, Bergwijn is compared to what we were used to playing last season or what we play at Ajax in previous season also, I think our style will alter a bit, if I'm being honest. If I think about the players that we have in our squad now, and I'll try to explain. With Haller, you had a player that was solely somebody who was far up front and tries to finish those balls, a real target man that is a fox in the box that is around the 5-yard box and tries to finish those crosses. I think maybe our style can alter a bit. because Robbie likes to come into the ball also. Maybe if Tadic plays a false 9, he drops deep a little bit more also. So they try to play more combination kind of football. Why? Robbie also likes to run deep, but he has to have the room to run into. So if you move back to your own goal a little bit more, to your own half, then room starts appearing at the flanks, at the winger positions. And Anthony and both Bergwijn, if they play there, they can go deep. They can be sent away with a through ball. So I think personally that you will see a little bit of different Ajax next coming season, a little bit more towards your own half, that you can play a little bit more combination football, because that was something Haller was not that good at, playing that combination kind of football, holding the ball. He was more of a player that was in the box finishing it. So Ten Hag put him in his strength. We have different kind of players now. So I won't be surprised if we see this happening a bit. And then in that situation, a Bergwijn can be more in his strength, because he will have the room to move into.
Yeah. You guys wanted to react? Go ahead. Who wants to
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
Oh no, Papimento, go. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, look, we talked about Van Dongen and Darami, nowhere near the level of Bergwijn. So we needed an immediate boost to our team on that position. Also, if we look at Blind, we're considering him as a left central back, which I hope doesn't happen, Juan. Seriously, I hope it doesn't happen. But who says Wijndal won't sit on the bench and Blind as a left back with Bergwijn? Because that duo I see working better than the Tadic-Blind duo. And yeah, you could opt for Blind maybe on the midfield, but
then you have to make a
see
choice.
that happening.
Yeah, listen, but then you have to make a choice. Okay, okay. All right. Look,
Yeah, look.
if you look at this week, we didn't even touch upon it. Taylor signed a 5-year contract. So, and we know that Taylor said he's waiting. He's not in a rush to sign a new contract. He said it a couple of months ago, because he wants assurances that he will play in the first team, that he can play in the first team, that he has his fair shot. So the fact that he's now signing a 5-year, he talked to Schreuder, I'm pretty sure, and Schreuder gave him that confidence that, listen, yeah, you are seen as a first squad player now. It's up to you, of course, to show it, but otherwise he wouldn't have signed. So for me, it's hard to grasp now that Blind would play in the midfield. And then, because we still have Taylor, we have Kudus, and we will talk about Kudus in the next video, by the way. We have special guests for that, just for our viewers to know. But I don't see it. But on the other hand, and I'm contradicting myself here, when I heard yesterday we're signing Bassey, and I look at this, what kind of player he is, and if he's like a player that will play at the center defense, he actually will camouflage all the weaknesses of Blind. And Blind can do what he's very good at. So,
but Juan,
don't give me buts and ifs, bro.
No, but if you take into consideration, and just throwing it in there, if you play Blind as a left back position, what could happen? Yeah. And you play Bergwijn as a left winger, like Papi said. No freaking way that you will pass up on Tadic in this squad. He's like like the captain, like the one above all other players. So then you have to move him to, I think, the 10 position, because you're going to play Robbie also. So take into consideration, if you play Anthony on the right, if you play Bergwijn on the left, you play Tadic on the 10, and you play Robbie as a striker. What are you going to do with all our midfielders? Think about Klaassen, think about Berghuis, think about Kudus, think about Taylor, think about Alvarez. If you want to play Blind there also, we're going to have such a difficult puzzle to lay out, because you will have to pass up players that are quality and that usually should play in your first 11. So I cannot wrap my mind around it, how we are going to solve this. I cannot see us pass up on Blind also. But if I'm being honest, is Blind the best player in the left back position for me at the moment? I do not know. I think I would rather play Wijndal there. Although Blind is a terrific passer. Would you play him as a left central defender? If I'm being honest, no, I would not play him there. Would I play him as a pivot in front of defense? I'm sorry, I would not play him there also. But are you going to pass up the player Blind with his stature in the team? Exactly. I do not think it will happen. So where are we going to play him? These kind of puzzles, I cannot solve them. It's so hard.
I think Yedirenko has a solution for us.
Bench him, probably.
Yeah, I had a solution last season.
No, but I saw you like shaking your head a couple of times.
But he's right. But he's exactly right. I wouldn't choose Blind on the left back or as a left central defender or as a pivot player in the midfield. I would bench him as well. But is that going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, but
I think.
Look, yeah, just quickly. I want to touch upon what Eyejax said, because we know that what he does, and I know it's basically almost only this and his leadership, but what he does is his build-up play, his ball progression, breaking the lines, from the back. This is a quality. Actually, nobody has this as Blind has at the back. So you're going to bench a player like that.
But let's be honest. But let's be honest. If we look at the high level, Blind is leaving too much of a gap, too much space to really be an added value. His passing is always good to top notch. Depends on his day, but it's always good. But his ability to step in at the right moment is gone, in my opinion. He took too much of a tumble after those two incidents against Valencia and Hertha, I believe it was. I think it's...
Hertha? Which Hertha? I'm sorry.
The friendly game last season. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, yes.
And with that, I see him more often as not coming too late to the situation. Where in the past, in 18-19, he could just with being smart, looking good at his positioning and where the ball could come, he could intervene. But that's almost gone, especially in the top level, in my opinion.
I don't fully agree. I will tell you why I don't agree. Blind hasn't played an outstanding season last season. I agree with that. He had a couple of bad and good moments. But in terms of those good moments, the funny thing is, I thought the first game we played against Benfica, especially in the second half, he got exposed. I mean, all his weaknesses were shown, basically, and even Alvarez could not cover up for him at that time. So, and it cost us actually the elimination at the end. But in the game that we played, the second home game that we played, he was fine. He was. I mean, Blind is not the fastest, so he has to adapt his play and he has to know how to position himself. And he's a very intelligent player, so he can come away with these kind of things. But I think the second game he played in the Benfica, he was actually quite good. I was surprised because Ten Hag played him again, and I thought that was a mistake before we started the game. But after the game, I was surprised how good he played. And don't forget, the home game we played against Dortmund, he was amazing. He even scored a goal.
Yeah.
So I don't fully agree that he's not able to do it. But I do understand also what you're saying, because sometimes you do see him struggle, especially when we get like caught up in the counterattack. And I know it's preseason, all these kind of things. We played against Eupen. Yeah, it wasn't looking too good either. And I'm not blaming him only because he was playing next to the GOAT Lisandro, the other Lisandro, of course. But still, it showed a little bit the weakness. When there is space, we're in trouble, and that's something that it's in the back of the mind of a lot of Ajax fans, and also me included. But I think he's too good still, and I don't see Schreuder benching him. I think he's too important.
The balance have to be there, Juan, because you can implement Blind as your left back, but then you have to probably solve it like this. Bassey should be naturally in the back when he moves up front. Alvarez should drop deep a little bit more as the third central defender, and Bassey should cover like Blind's position solely a little bit as a left back and also a little bit as a central defender, with Alvarez keeping the balance. Then you can implement him, but you have to sacrifice a lot.
3 other players
to put him in his strength also.
Yeah.
So it is possible, but those two will have to keep the balance there. And the positive thing is if Bassey has to cover up for him a little bit, we at least saw that he can play that position also. So this is a plus.
So for you, the only thing that makes sense for you, thinking about it right now, from the top of your head, is the left back position for Blind, because then he can get covered by those players.
Yeah.
Okay. Papimento, you wanted to react. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I think Ajax has been placing Blind and protecting Blind since 18-19. I mean, we say that he played great. Yeah, he did, but he did have De Ligt, Tagliafico, Frankie covering all the spaces that he leaves behind going up front. So let's also put it in the realistic side of it. Okay, the weaknesses at the moment are not. His positives are not outweighing his negatives. Okay, and if you have to change 3 different positions just to cover his position, actually, because I don't see Blind playing with Wijndal, so you would have to play with or Bassey on the left back and him central, or the other way around. But you still need Alvarez to cover for him. You still need Bassey and Timber to cover those counterattacks. And we forget we play total football. Your weakest link is always going to be exposed.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to do that again another season? And I think he could easily play left central back, don't get me wrong, in an Eredivisie match. Maybe not the top ones like PSV or AZ or Feyenoord, but the other ones, I can see him playing that because he gets enough time and space to do whatever he needs to do. But Champions League, I'm seriously worried. No matter what position he plays, I'm worried.
But don't you think because you started with 18-19, now you have Bassey, you have Timber, you have Alvarez. Don't you think it will work? We can make it work again?
Depends on the opponent, of course, but also on where do you set him? Like, do you set him in the midfield next to Alvarez?
What is your opinion about this? Because Ajax just said left back is for him the most logical, in which we don't get exposed too much because he gets covered. Do you agree with that, or do you have another opinion?
Yeah, I think left back would be good. I'm not fully convinced yet with Wijndal. I think the deal is good, but he still has to prove himself on Champions League level. But I do also see Blind as a multifunctional player that could rotate on different positions wherever, depending on the opponent and Eredivisie or Champions League or Cup or whatever. So he gives you a lot of options, but on the highest level, you will see the pitfalls of playing Blind.
Fedorenko, I'm going to give it to you. And then we're going to end the session. Actually, we started with the signings and how excited we are, and we just got lured back into the discussion. All right,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Your fault.
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
No, I think Blind shouldn't play on the left back because you bought a player for 10 million with a reason, I assume. So I'm actually with Eyejax and Papimento. I think it's time to say goodbye to Blind, and it's sad. It's sad.
Goodbye as a starter or fully goodbye?
Goodbye. Like,
okay. To be really honest, I would have started up a conversation and tried to get him into the training academy or becoming a trainer or becoming something else, because I don't think I love Blind, and I don't want to see him. How do you say it in English?
On the bench, you mean? Or?
You don't want to see him. You don't want to see him regress in terms of his level at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he already regressed last season. And sure, he has some qualities, and sure, he can show some qualities also in Champions League games. But in the end, when push comes to shove, he will drown. Just like Alvarez did, just like Haller did in those big games, they will drown.
And I have to add to this, Fedorenko. You said I agree with Papimento and Eyejax on this. I just want to make clear, I do not see it the same way as you just put it. I'm having doubts where to play him in the first squad as a starter, but I'm not ready to just say goodbye to him yet. I think he can be of great value still for us this season. But I'm just contemplating if it would be as a starter or not. So saying goodbye to him already, I'm not on that boat yet. So,
but if he's not a starter, and Bassey and Wijndal develop fine, then he won't come in the team. Then he will come in the team in a cup game or something like that, or against Fortuna. I don't think he deserves that. In my opinion.
Why is it so weird to expect Blind playing a Schöne role from the bench being also impactful? I don't understand why this is such a...
Klaassen did.
Because Schöne is a much better player or was a much better player as Blind is, in my opinion.
Really?
Technically, sure.
Ooh, I'm not
I
sure.
thought he was highly intelligent in his positioning and Schöne, and I think Blind has the same. I think you could use him as backup for any of those three positions. So yeah, such a multi-talented position player you can use on the bench whenever he can come in, and his experience will also help. So no,
yeah, not only
don't sell him, but
he can
I don't
still
see him as a starter.
He can still work out, like I said before, but you have to sacrifice a few players to keep the balance. So he can still shine in our squad still. But what I said, you have to sacrifice two players to cover for his weaknesses. But if you are able to do this and you're wanting to sacrifice this for him, he can still be of great value to us. But I'm contemplating if it's worth sacrificing two players to cover up for his weaknesses.
Guys,
it depends on how you play.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you go full on, then I think you have the possibility to pressure the opponent in a way that the weakness of Blind on any position doesn't really come to the surface. And if it does, it doesn't really matter because you're ahead already. But that's only when you pressure full on. If you don't pressure full on, he will get in trouble.
Juan, one thing, I just want to know what the fans think about this discussion.
Well, discussion, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great point. I hope they kept tuned in until this time. But for the ones watching until the end, let us know what you think. Just want to finish this one by 3 statements, yes or no. Quickly, Eyejax, what do you want to say?
No, I want to go last.
No, because I want to end the session after the question.
Yeah, okay, I want to go last, and then you can end the session. So let them go first with the statements.
Okay, so the first statement is, because the word of the day is cookie baker, so H2 has proven to us that they're not cookie bakers. That's the first statement. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, no cookie bakers there.
The Raincoat's not answering.
I'm in between.
The second one is the player signings are good signings, and they're actually quality injections for the team.
Yes.
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 And third of all, I like being on the We Talk channel and talking endlessly about Blind.
No.
Yeah, I like being on the We Talk channel. So
yeah,
not a full yes.
The last one was a joke. The last one was a joke.
That's a full yes.
Cap it off, bro.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here again, and I want to add on what Papi said. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Blind discussion, because you can see we're not able to solve it even with us being here. And while you're at it, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe, because that's much appreciated and help the channel grow in numbers, man. Thank you.